Have you ever noticed that when you're out on a vacation trip, that you usually want to stop at the scenic areas like mountains, oceans, rivers, lakes, even woods? People love to take pictures of trees. Now, the reason for that is because you feel the life of that place come to life for you. You see the beauty in God's creation because it was spoken by God into existence, as his word says. Everything that he created in this world was spoken into existence, and it was good. So with that being said, no one really wants to take a picture against a brick wall and yeah, I feel the life of this, and I have to have this photo. I have to have this as a memory. Can't speak for all. There's some people that have that artistic mindset and they may like a cool brick wall and want that photo. But the point of this video is through God's creation, there is life. Just like through Jesus in us, we are given life. So when God spoke these things into existence, there's the life of God behind it and within it. And when we cut it off, that's when the life ends. Okay, just like when you have a flower, it won't continue to grow after you cut it. It has to be rooted into the ground, which is what gives it life. And the water, whether it rains or you water it manually yourself, that's what gives it life. You can give a flower hey, this was alive and now this is the beauty that came from it, but there's no more life to it. I've cut it out. So with this being said, if you're in a position to move, you're thinking about moving, or you're feeling depressed and you're not realizing why, part of the reason could be because of your environment around you. If you're around just a bunch of cars that are made of metal, that are by the hands of man, well these days, fiberglass, that are made by the hands of man, by brick buildings that are made by the hands of man, by condos that are made by the hands of man, there is no life in that. There's life that is consumed in that because that's the vessel that the life lives in, as in the person. But you don't see the beauty of God's creation. That's Satan's creation. He's making all this for people to move into so he can make money for the government because they're greedy. So they're like, let's get rid of this store and let's make condos so people who need a place to live will pay an expensive amount and work 2-3 jobs just to get this place. That's the enemy's plan. God is about life. And when you feel the life of his creation, you feel all the fruits of the Holy Spirit because it was created by God. So when you're around these places, you feel like you're on vacation because you're looking at God's creation. No one goes to a vacation of a factory, there's no life in that. That's where people work to make money, to make a living. So that's why the factories are made. So you have to understand, if you're in a position, I'm not telling you to quit your job and go do this, but if you're in a position to move, or you're just really down and depressed and you can switch jobs, pray, of course, about this. Seek God's will on where he wants you to live and ask him, Lord, do you want me to move to a place that is full of trees and rivers and lakes and oceans? Can you guide me to that place? Will this remove my depression? Will this remove this toxic environment around me? And what you'll realize is when you move to a place that is full of trees, full of rivers as you're driving down the road, or lakes and oceans around you, you feel the life of that place. You feel the fish in the rivers. You feel the sea mammals in the ocean. You feel the birds and everything that lives on the trees. And that life comes over you and gives you a piece of God. You feel his presence in that moment. And that's why people are always taking trips and hiking and jogging down the beach and stuff like that, because those places give you joy. Those places give you happiness. Those places give you peace, most importantly. And in this world of all this bad, evil stuff that the enemy has created, You need that peace, not just for a vacation, a way out, but if you could find a way to live there and make it a residence, your spiritual faith would be so much stronger and you would be able to fight so much easier because you would always feel God's presence around you. You would always feel joy and happiness and peace. So when the enemy comes to attack you, you're already in this state of mind of peace and you're just like, that's no big deal to me. Oh, that you think that's a big deal? That's nothing. Because your mindset has changed. But if you're already depressed and you're miserable with all your surroundings of brick buildings and factories and trains and cars and buses and the city is basically what I'm talking about, then of course you're going to be depressed. God's creation is not there. That's the creation of man to make money. So of course you're going to be depressed. Of course you're going to not feel God's peace. You'll feel it through the Holy Spirit. If you're born again, he resides in you and you haven't committed sin willfully and allowed legal right for the kingdom of darkness to come over you and oppress you. But you would feel God's peace in these places. You would feel closer to God in these places. So I highly recommend you think about this and don't just move on it. Pray about it first because it's God's will where he wants you. If he wants you in a city to touch that city through the gospel of Jesus Christ, then that's where you're supposed to be. But if God is like, hey, you can move anywhere, just let me know where, you should think about a destination that has God's beautiful creation because when you see it, you will feel the life of it and your life will be so much better because of it. God bless you guys.